when people feel that you're grateful for them, then they bond with you.
Yeah.
It's the glue.
But that's positive reinforcement. Like, if you tell somebody they're doing a good job, they're going to do a better job. You know what I mean? Or even if they're not doing a good job and you tell them they're doing a good job, they're going to do a good job.
It hinders your growth, because if you can't see that you're in power, you give away your power when you blame someone else. So if you're not in power to change something because it wasn't your fault, it's somebody else's fault, then it will hinder your growth. And then so it's want to finish with, sometimes we might find that people are blaming us. So some things that you should do if you feel that you're being blamed and it's not your fault, because what our instinct is to do is to mirror that. So someone's blaming me, so I'm going to blame you. No, it wasn't me, it was you. Well, you did this, or wasn't me, it was them, and pass it on. So what can we do when we notice someone else is playing the blame game and we're the victim there? Victim. Probably should have chosen a better word. We should. Yeah, it's the path of least resistance. Now, I'm a fan of the path of least resistance, but when it comes to, if your path of least resistance lies with blame, then that's having a negative impact on you, because it's easier to, it's you saying, it's easier to stay stuck. It's easier to stay stuck than to look at myself and find a solution. It takes a bit longer to do that. And so that's why we often, everybody does it, that's why it's, when we're talking, it's not from a place of judgment. We've been there, big style, historically we've been there, and I'm still there. I still make the excuses. I still blame time. I still don't prioritize the things I should. I still blame other people sometimes. So it's not about being perfect. It's about being aware and consciously trying to be better at it, consciously trying to blame less, consciously trying to problem solve more. And it's difficult at first, but it gets easier, because what happens is the more experience you have of taking responsibility in a moment when you didn't want to take responsibility, and then you offered yourself compassion and you realize that something terrible didn't happen, not everybody was pointing the finger and laughing at you, or you didn't lose your job, or whatever catastrophizing you could do around accepting responsibility, and actually you move forward from that, or you learned something from that, then it builds you stronger. And then you have lived experience of coming to a point where you wanted to blame someone else and you took responsibility when it felt uncomfortable, and you got a good result. And so then you begin to do it more, and then it will become more natural to do it, and then you'll just blame less, because you're comfortable taking responsibility. You want to problem solve whenever something crops up. That doesn't mean that you don't still blame, because I do. I hold my hands up. I still have moments.
Yeah, but you're reminding me of what I was telling you about earlier, my twin flame dynamic. Like, I was putting the blame externally, but the minute I brought it back and started to look at what I needed to do, it actually made me feel more powerful and more empowered.
It is,
because now I know how to make myself stronger. Instead of, when I was putting the blame externally, it was upsetting me. It was making me weak, and it was making me in victim mode. Whereas when I took the responsibility back, I was like, hold on now, what can I do to change the situation? What can I do to become stronger and not be in this victim mode? And now I feel more empowered, because I know what I need to do. I know what side of the coin I'm at. You know what I mean? And that's it. Like, I literally, disempowered myself by blaming my twin flame, rather than actually understanding that I have a part to play as well.
Yeah. And like we say, in any situation, you can probably find blame on someone else or something else in anything. Absolutely. If you try, you will be able to blame someone else. And it's not to say that they shouldn't also have responsibility for things. But as we say often, the only person you have control over is yourself. The only person that you can 100% change is you. And so if you want to get fast results, if you want to get change, then you need to own it. You need to own your bit in it. No matter how, even if it looks like their part in it is massive and your part in it is small, you making a small change will make a big difference to you. Exactly. You know? So yeah. So I've got some tips on how we can avoid blame. So here's some tips on what we can do. So if you catch yourself blaming someone, if you feel, or something, or a situation, so something didn't go right and you're like, oh well, I ran out of time, or oh well, so because if you ran out of time, the truth is you probably just didn't plan your schedule very well. You know, and sometimes things can crop up unexpectedly, but arguably you could be like, I need to make sure in future that I plan for unexpected things, or that I have a little bit of extra time, or you know, so there's always something that you can some way that you can learn from it, somewhere where you could have maybe done better. So when something goes wrong, have a think, have a pause. When you're like, oh well, so and so didn't do this, have a pause, catch yourself doing it, and reflect on if there was any, before you point the blame, because sometimes people are to blame, sometimes you might have to report something, but is there, instead of jumping straight to what they've done, is there any part you played in it? Self-awareness is such a big thing. So recognizing, like I say, when you're shifting blame, asking questions, getting curious. So I notice that I'm blaming somebody. Get curious about that. Why am I, you know, why do I feel like, what is this? What am I avoiding by blaming someone? What am I gaining from blaming someone? Being solution focused. So instead of focusing on the things that are going wrong, it's how can we problem solve to make this better, which is great for teams and families, but also just for yourself. Like when something crops up, it's looking at the solution, the fixes, rather than focusing on what terrible thing happened. Because when we focus on the bad, that's when we want to start blaming someone else and not owning it. Practicing empathy. So having empathy for other people and other people's situations will mean that you're less likely to blame them.
Yeah, like a person's behavior is a reflection of them, not you.
Yeah. So it might be, say, your boss, like understanding. So say you don't agree with something your boss has done, or say you don't agree with something that your boss has done. It's having empathy for the fact that they're a human being as well, and they've got a job to do like you've got a job to do, and they've got pressures like you've got pressures. Often when we're in a workplace and we're asked to do something, and we're like, oh well, don't they know this and that and the other, and oh well, that's ridiculous, and you know, it's Ofsted's fault in schools, it's Ofsted's fault, it's the government's fault, this is rubbish, there's too much workload, there's this, and it just all spills out. It's like understanding that we're all human, and we're all, you know, maybe somebody might not have a good communication style, or maybe somebody's having a bad day, or so maybe somebody misread a situation, or maybe they're also playing the blame game. You know, understanding that everybody is a human being will make you less likely to shift the blame onto someone else. Yeah, and actually by being empathetic of everybody else helps you be empathetic towards yourself, and vice versa. If compassionate, I mean. So if you're compassionate to yourself, you're more able to be compassionate to other people. And if you're compassionate to other people, then you can be compassionate to yourself. It works both ways, like you say, mirroring. So taking ownership, so acknowledging your role in a situation, we've already talked about that. And then mindfulness practices. So having a regular meditation practice or journaling practice, self-awareness practice, breath work, any of those kinds of things that we often talk about.
Yeah. Introspection is so important. Ask yourself those questions. You know, if you're getting triggered, if you're blaming somebody else, if a situation isn't going your way, ask yourself, what is it trying to teach you? What is within you that can change that situation? Because you have that power. And, you know, by learning what it's trying to teach you, you can learn how to resolve it.
Yeah. And it's like what we were saying last week, isn't it? About how you view barriers and problems. Like if you shift your focus from it being a problem or a barrier, or
as I said, Tony Robbins says, see it as a worthy opponent. It will make you stronger if you overcome that challenge. And that's it. Like use it as it, like, you know, all obstacles are just stepping stones to make you stronger and be able to do the next step even better.
Yeah. And when it comes to families and teams, gratitude is a great thing. Gratitude is a great thing when you give gratitude for the things that you've got in your life. It reduces cortisol. It's like the opposite of stress. When you're grateful, it's the opposite of stress. So if you have a high stress job, but you have a gratitude practice, you will manage that much better. You'll not end up in having toxic levels of cortisol in your body all the time that has all those negative effects, and it will improve your immunity. But also gratitude within teams, families, groups, when people feel that somebody is grateful for the work that they do, that they're recognized, it's like the social glue. It makes you feel like a team. And if you feel like a team and everybody's wanting to, you want to give more, you want it to succeed, you're more invested in a solution, then naturally, when a team is close like that and everybody is grateful for each other, naturally there will be less blame and more problem solving. So gratitude is a great thing, not only showing gratitude for the things in your life, because that reduces cortisol, increases your immunity, and just changes your perspective on life. Really, it rewires your brain to see more positive. And there is lots of positive things in everybody's life if you look for them. But when people feel that you're grateful for them, then they bond with you. It's the glue.
But that's positive reinforcement. Like if you tell somebody they're doing a good job, they're going to do a better job. You know what I mean? Or even if they're not doing a good job and you tell them they're doing a good job, they're going to do a good job. Yeah. You know, it reminds me of the episode of Simpsons. Bart obviously isn't very good at school, but he thought that his ex-teacher, well, his passed-on teacher, wrote in her diary that he was great, but she was talking about her cat. But when he thought that it was about him, he actually started to do well in school because he thought somebody thought well of him. Yeah. You know, so just by even thinking, by telling somebody that they're doing a good job or that they matter, it's going to make them do better in life. You know what I mean? So that's why encouraging each other and encouraging yourself is so important. Those words of gratitude or of encouragement, they can really, you just don't know when a person needs to hear those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So some people are so good at hiding how they're really feeling. People often struggle in silence, you know, and I know from experience that in your head, the most terrible things can be going on, and you could be really being unkind to yourself or view the world very, very negatively and like everything's against you, but people can put on a brave face. So you just don't know. And even if, you know, I think I'm pretty okay these days, you know, and I didn't used to be for sure, but like that, you know, the last year and a half I've been pretty good and I seem to get better and better, I feel. But still, if somebody is great, you know, shows gratitude, it just peps me up that little bit more. So even if, you know, don't ever presume that people know that you're grateful for them, because people don't. You know, we need to express that regularly. So it's important for families, it's important for relationships, it's important for your own well-being to be grateful for other people. So gratitude is just such a great thing. And I know it sounds ridiculous. When I first started, I got introduced by Women's Aid to gratitude, and I was in a very dark place at the time. And I thought, how ridiculous is this? And I only did it because I was like, what have I got to lose? I'm desperate. I'll try anything. And it really did make a change for me. And now there's lots of, if you don't believe me, Google it. Look for the science.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There's so much science behind it now.
You know, even if you're in a dark place and you start to write things down on paper, you think, oh my God, there's nothing here. There's nothing. But the simple thing is, thank you for my pets or your children. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my home. Thank you for that food you press. Thank you for my car. Then it kind of expands and you can start thinking of more and more and more. And there might be simple little things, but it makes you see that the little things are so big. They're actually so, so big. And the more you're grateful for what you have, the more the universe will bring in more for you to be grateful for. It's that energy as well. So you know what I mean? You're grateful for all the time in the world to do all the things that you want. You're going to manifest it all the time in the world to do all the things that you want. So you know what I mean? It's simple things like that. Change your energy. Change your mindset. Change your words. That's even a choice. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. This is it. Like, all you have to do is start with this. Don't even, you know what I mean? Just start with that. You don't even have to take action right now. Just change the way you choose to look at life or choose to do things.
Yeah, definitely. I watched Jordan Peterson actually on a reel popped up, and he was saying that it is the small things. So it's like, it's the how your wife greets you, he's saying, because obviously he's man. So it's like, it's how you speak to each other in the morning. It's how your wife greets you when you get home. It's how you speak to your children
or your dog or cat.
Yeah, it's the or your cat. Yeah, or just the people that you are closest
for me, it's obvious.
You know? Yeah, people or animals.
It's simple like that, you know what I mean? I might wake up in a bad mood in the morning or something, but I wake up and I do my gratitude thing, so that makes me better. But I open the door and I'm greeted by my animals. You know, if I go out, I come back in, I'm greeted with happy pets. Yeah. It's the same as it's a human that's greeting you. You know what I mean? This is the thing, like, and we often take these things for granted or get frustrated in life. But the simple thing of, you know, having a hug with your animals or having a hug with your family, the simple thing of, you know, the sun shining, these tiny little things are just, can fill your heart with such joy. And having that joy in your heart will actually attract in more things to be joyful for.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been on for an hour and 10 minutes. It's such a big topic. We've just talked and talked and talked. I was going to say, what is the cost of not taking responsibility? So it's an erosion of trust. So if you are blaming people, and that you can blame people who are not in the room, and it will erode your trust with the people that you're with. Sometimes we think that when we're talking and bitching with someone about someone else, that we're bonding with that other person, but actually it erodes trust, because it shows that you are the sort of person that does that. Mm-hmm. And even if it's not in their conscious mind, their subconscious mind has clocked it. So blaming others causes an erosion of trust. It can cause conflict and tension. It reduces accountability. It decreases morale in family dynamics or workplaces or groups. It hinders your growth, because if you can't see that you're in power, you give away your power when you blame someone else. So if you're not in power to change something because it wasn't your fault, it's somebody else's fault, then it will hinder your growth. So it's so important that we start looking, if you haven't already, looking at what when we blame someone, catching ourselves when we blame someone or something or a situation. Yes. It can be sneaky. Those excuses can be sneaky. And if you're triggered and then you start blaming someone, it's definitely somewhere to look, isn't it?
Exactly.
And then I want to finish with, sometimes we might find that people are blaming us. So some things that you should do if you feel that you're being blamed and it's not your fault, because what our instinct is to do is to mirror that So someone's blaming me, so I'm going to blame you. No, it wasn't me, it was you. Well, you did this, or wasn't me, it was them, and pass it on. So what can we do when we notice someone else is playing the blame game and we're the victim there? Victim. Probably should have chosen a better word. We should stay calm and we should listen actively. So often when we're being blamed, what we do is we're not really even listening. We're just thinking of what our response is going to be or how we're going to pass it on. So we need to actively listen. Let them have their rant. Listen to it. Empathize that they feel that way. Ask questions so that you get clarity on it. And then switch it to solution focused. So it's not like it is you don't have to take accountability and you don't have to agree with what they're saying, but let them, if they're in a place where they don't want to take accountability for it and responsibility for it, they let them just get it out and then move on to the solution. Don't fall into the blame game and play tag with it. No, it's not me, it's you. No, it's, let's pass the blame around. Just let it be. Let them get it out. Get clarity on their position and what the problem is, and then aim with them to come to a solution. Because the easiest thing was to blame, but what we all really want is a solution. So supporting them in finding a solution. But set boundaries as well. Like if they speak out of turn, do speak up. I'm not saying be a punching bag because someone's having a bad day and doesn't want to take responsibility. And if it needs escalating, follow the proper procedures or whatever if you're in a workplace. That doesn't mean that we ignore the problem if it needs to be escalated, but it means that we don't just play tag. Tag them back. No, it's your fault. Give them space to get it out, and then hopefully you can come to a solution together. Exactly. And most importantly, lead by example. So if you are taking accountability and responsibility for the good and bad things, and not saying bad things, but mistakes that you make, being progressive with how you say it. I could have done this better. What I think I could do is, and you're going straight into the solution. So you're not sat there in the, oh, bad me, I made a mistake. You're going straight onto the solution, and then you're modeling for people around you, the children, if you're a teacher, your colleagues, because if they see you doing that and you come to a solution much more quickly, they will go, actually, I want a bit of that. That really worked. Actually,
and then you won't see the mistake as a failure. A mistake doesn't have to be a failure once you own it and learn from it and change the behavior. That's how we work. And if you can do that in sequence instead of going, it wasn't me, we can create a better world for the environment that we're in. We really can, definitely.
Yeah. So it's like when, if you think it's your team that's toxic, it's like we're saying, use gratitude, and it's your team that's, my team's toxic. It's like, don't underestimate the influence that you have, and be persistent with it. Keep waving, keep doing the right things, keep modeling what you want to see, and eventually they will follow suit.
Exactly. Don't give up your shine to lower yourself to that level. You keep shining, and hopefully they will shine with you.
Brilliant. Right. Whoa, this is the longest one ever. It was such a good topic. And I could still go on for another hour.
I know. We're in the right flow. But that was a good one anyway.
So I'm going to finish by saying about Teacher Mindset Matters. So if you would like some support with your blame game or anything else mindset, we have a Facebook group that is free where we offer free advice and posts, and you can post anonymously a problem. And we're just supporting each other on a growth mindset to feel better about ourselves. We're filling our own cups so that we're able to support the children in the schools that we work in. So whether you're a teacher or any member of staff in a school setting, do join. We'd love to have a conversation with you in there.
All right.
Okay.
That's
Bye.
it. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.